Hi, everyone. Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's 7 p.m. West African time. It's 2 p.m. Eastern time. It's some other time in Australia and in Asia, but it's 7 p.m. West African time. If you can hear me, so this is a bit of a sound check. If you can hear me, you can see my smile, please leave a comment. Say, yes, I can, leave an emoji. Okay, great. Please just leave a comment. Yeah. Everybody can see. Thank you so much. I'm so excited. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. My name is Sheyo Basi. I'll tell you a bit about myself later, but I want to congratulate you if you're here because you're part of over 1,000 people that are on this webinar right now. And I know that more people are going to join. So we have a lot to talk about. So that's why I'm starting early. I want to get to it as soon as possible so I can cover everything. So please try and pay attention. Respect the community. So mind what you're putting in the comments. If you want to leave a comment or you want to ask a question, you would have to subscribe to the channel so that you can leave a question, a comment. I know we're going to have lots of fun. I have lots of things to talk about. So I'll go through my presentation. And when I'm done, I will come back and that's when I take Q&A. So I beg you not to leave your questions now. Leave your questions till the end so that I can see them. They are not buried under all the emojis and yeses that people would leave. Wait until I'm done with the presentation. Ask your questions. Please ask questions that we haven't already addressed in the presentation. So I guess we can start now. I'm going to share my screen so that I can get to it because we have just quite a lot to talk about today. So let me just get to it. I'll share my screen in a bit. Okay, so I welcome everybody again. Thank you so much for joining. I can see all the hellos, all the hi. Somebody said I can't hear you. Every other person can hear and see me. So if you can't hear me, maybe you go out and come back to the webinar. So as way of introduction, my name is Sheyo Basi. I know I've met many of you before, maybe on social media or somewhere or on a previous webinar. I live in Ontario, in Canada. I've been in Canada since 2018. I'm just celebrating my 5th Canada Day in Canada. So today, July 1st, is Canada Day. So after this webinar, I'm going to have a bit of fun for Canada Day. I came into Canada as an international student, and I became a permanent resident together with my family through the Ontario Provincial Nominee Program. Okay, so today I want to show you how you can have this. Now, this is a family, a husband and wife and their child or children that are in Canada, smiling, happy because they've gotten their dream. I want to show you how you too can get this dream for yourself and your family. But beyond that, I want to let you know that this is an opportunity that I got as well that has changed my life for the best as a result of taking advantage of the opportunity. And I want to show you the advantage as well. But beyond that, I want to show you how you can do it on time before the season changes. Canada is seriously accepting immigrants from all over the world, but every one of us knows that that will not last forever. It's going to end one day. I want to show you how you can do it in the season that is best for you before you grow older, before you become ineligible, before you start having, issues with immigrating. But beyond all that, I want to show you how you can avoid this. Now, this is an email that I got from someone, had an agent, I don't have anything against agents, an agent apply for them, and now they have been found ineligible, inadmissible to Canada because they submitted documentation that lacks authenticity. So if you don't know what you're doing, yeah, this can happen to you. And this means you have been found inadmissible to Canada because you withheld material facts, you told lies. Canada does not believe you again. You are banned for 5 years. And even if the 5 years are over, your credibility is still at stake. So I want to show you how you can avoid this as well. So today, in the short amount of time that we're going to be spending together, my goal is to make a big impact in the following ways. Number one, I want to bring confidence where you feel stuck, because I know there's a lot of people that feel stuck. They don't even know how to start. So I want to bring confidence to you. I want to bring clarity where there's confusion, yeah, where there's darkness, where there's uncertainty. And I want to expose the 4 best routes that you can use to become a Canada resident as soon as possible, especially if you live outside of Canada. So does that sound good to you? I told you all I'm going to do. If it sounds good to you, please let me know in the chat that we are on the same wavelength, okay? It sounds good to me. So if it sounds good to you, please tell me in the chat, it sounds good. So that's going to encourage me to go ahead. So does it sound good to all of us? If it does sound good, say it sounds good, okay? Moving on. So today I want to talk about unveiling the secrets and the routes for a smooth transition to Canada for UK international students. Now, even though I've tagged this as UK international students, it's also accessible to any foreigner outside of Canada. Now, I targeted it to UK for a specific reason, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, but it's for anyone. If you're a foreigner, you don't have a Canada residency, this is for you, okay? So please pay attention, like I said before, take notes, have an open mind. It is so important to come here with an open mind and believe that you can, because action is key. You can attend this webinar and not take action and nothing will change. So taking action is absolutely key. So do you promise to do this? Take notes, have an open mind, believe that you can is so important, yeah? So if you promise that you do all this, then you're encouraging me to go on. So if you promise to do all of this, say, I promise in the chat. I promise, I promise, I promise. Doing it, writing it, seeing yourself write it has a very, very big impact on you. So go ahead and do it. I promise, I promise, I promise. Okay, so what we're going to cover today, 4 things or 4 broad things. We're going to cover why you are where you are, especially if you're outside your country of origin. Why Canada? What are the routes to Canada, the best routes to Canada for foreign nationals who live outside of Canada, and how you can start as soon as possible. Before I go on, I want to make a disclaimer that this information is purely for general nature. So it's just for education and information purposes. This is not immigration advice, and I do not guarantee any outcome. The RCC website has all the information that you need to immigrate to Canada, so you can always refer to that. So the first thing we're going to look at is, why are you where you are? Maybe you're in the country of your origin, or maybe you've jackpot somewhere. So there was a time the Japa wave, it's even on. There's a Japa bug that was caught on in Nigeria and in other countries. It's not just in Nigeria. People are leaving their country of origin looking for a better life for their family. And maybe you yourself, probably in the UK or any other country. And the reason why you're there is because you wanted a better life for yourself and your family. Yeah. You probably had some poor experience. I've heard this a lot. Some people have had poor experience with health. Maybe a family member died due to health negligence or security issues. Or you can see the failing education system, especially in our country, Nigeria. Our education system is seriously failing. You had friends and or family in the UK or the country where you are, and because you had friends there, you were able to immigrate there. Or you found out it was easier to get a study visa in the UK. A lot of people have tried for Canada, but they found it easier to get in the UK, and that's why you're there. You got a job in the UK, which is fine. So if you're currently in the UK or in another country, yeah, foreign country outside your country of residence, that's great. Now, I want to give a little bit of statistics about the UK. We don't have enough time to talk about a lot more countries, but we're just going to talk about the UK a bit. The number of Nigerians studying in the UK has hit an 8-year high. If you look at this graph, you will see that between 2021 and 2022, which is last year, almost 45,000 international students went to study in the UK. Now, apart from that, these 45,000 people went with over 66,000 dependents that accompanied them to the UK. And you can see how the growth is. It almost doubled the figures for the previous year. Now, because of this, we have heard that there's a housing crisis in the UK, and there's a job crisis because there's just so many people, immigrants coming, not just from Nigeria. So this figure is just from Nigeria, but I'm sure the figures from probably India are even higher. And because of this, the UK government has made an announcement that they would ban international students from bringing their family over when they come to study, except you were studying for a PhD. So if you're just going there to study for a master's or maybe a diploma or something else, you cannot bring your family. And then what's the point, yeah? You can't travel with your family. For a lot of people, they want to travel with their family. So are basically back to the drawing board, yeah? So a lot of people who are in the UK or who had plans to go to the UK are back to the drawing board because they're like, you know what, I have to think about something else. So a lot of them are looking to Canada. So why Canada? Canada with all its wahala. Worth it? It's worth it to try to immigrate to Canada? And the answer is absolutely yes. I have lived in Nigeria because I'm a Nigerian. I have lived in the UK. I schooled in the UK. I've lived in Canada. So I know coming to Canada is absolutely worth it. If you are in the UK or immigrated to Australia, Asia, Poland, wherever, you have certain advantages. You have better visa approval chances because you have a foreign permit and you have travel history. And trust me, whether you believe it or not, your foreign education and your foreign work experience while you are a student or while you're working in the UK or somewhere else gives you an advantage when it comes to applying for visas. Now, why should you even be looking to Canada and not even try some other country or try to stay where you are? Certain reasons. Number one is that Canada has got some great offers, yeah, that you won't find as much in the UK or in any other country. First of all, the immigration system in Canada and the ease of becoming a permanent resident is unrivaled. I beat my chest and say so, it's unrivaled. You can become a Canada citizen, just a permanent resident, a citizen in just a few years after being a permanent resident. You don't get this in any other country. Just want to relocate for relocating's sake. We want that their red passport, right? We want to become permanent residents. We want to live without fear of being booted out of the country, and we want to become citizens. So you can say, I'm a Canadian, yeah? So that's what we want. Now, even if you're here on a temporary resident visa, if you're in Canada as a visitor or you're in Canada as a student and you give birth in Canada, your child becomes a citizen. Now, that doesn't make you as a parent a citizen, but that child is a citizen and gets the Canadian passport. And as a permanent resident, you can sponsor your parents and your grandparents to become Canadian permanent residents as well. So they have the parent and grandparent routes. So if you're thinking of coming to Canada from the UK or from wherever country where you are, I would say it's a noble desire and it's a noble choice, okay? So that's great. So you're wondering, okay, so what routes can I use to immigrate to Canada? We're going to talk about 4 broad routes, and I'm going to run through the basics of each of these routes, just give you an idea, and I'll tell you how you can get more information if you want to start. So the first route we're going to be talking about is the study route, okay? So I know, you may not want to study again, yeah? It's stressful, right? Studying. You may not want to study again if you're studying in the UK or studying somewhere else, but study is one route that you need to consider, okay? It's one of the easiest routes to come to Canada to become a permanent resident, because immediately you start studying in Canada, you are on your way to permanent residence, okay? And I'm going to show you in a bit how that works. You are on your way to permanent residence as soon as you're here studying. The reason why I have put the study route here, and even as number 1, like I said, it's one of the easiest routes with one of the highest admission rates to Canada, If you're from an English-speaking country, you do not need the IELTS. There's no age restrictions. Your family can join you in Canada. So Canada still allows you to come with family, whether you're studying at the undergraduate level or the graduate level, you can come with family. It's a sure route to permanent residence. Number one, you get the Canadian application, you get Canada work experience. With those two, trust me, you can get permanent residence. And you can do this all by yourself. Yeah. You can do this all by yourself without an agent, and you can start right away. So what is the process? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to run through what the process is. The Study in Canada process, it is a 5-step process. It is not complicated. It is just a 5-step process. Number one is that you choose a school in Canada. Now, what I'm going to say about choosing a school in Canada, number one, make sure you're choosing a program that shows that there's progression. So you're not going to choose a lower program. Make sure you're choosing a DLI, to Designated Learning Institute. Beyond that, make sure that you're choosing a DLI that is PGWP eligible, which means you can work in Canada after studying. Be sure that you meet the admission requirements. After that, you need to start applying to the school and consider the study gap requirements. Now, there are some schools, especially colleges, that have a study gap requirement of 5 years. There are so many schools that don't, yeah? There are some schools that have IELTS requirements. So all schools do not have the same requirements. That's what I'm trying to say. So you have to read the program page, be sure that you meet the requirements, and then you apply. In Canada, most of the schools, I would say 98%, require you to pay an application fee to apply there. You hardly see the free ones. Once in a while, they do offer a discount or a coupon, but most times you have to pay the application fee. After you have applied, you get a letter of admission. You need an LOA in order to apply for visa. LOA is the letter of admission. Now, your study visa is the most important part of this process that I've just talked about. You need a good study plan. That's your SOP or your LOA, statement of purpose or letter of explanation. You need to gather all your documents. Make sure that you are able to convince the visa officer of why you need to get that study visa, and make sure you are applying on time, right? Now, by the time you apply and your study visa is approved, you come to Canada. By the time you get to the point of entry, which is the airport, you get your study permit, and a lot of times you get a work permit. If you are studying at a DLI, you are able to work as a student. You're able to work officially 20 hours outside of campus. You can work on campus, unlimited hours. That's how you get to make money while you're a student. Yeah, and you start studying. After study, you graduate and you get your post-graduation work permit. It's between 1 to 3 years. 3 years is the maximum. 1 year is the minimum. You start working, yeah? And after working or while you're working, you can qualify for any of the permanent residence routes. It's not automatic. You have to apply for permanent residence. And most times for international students, you can apply under the Canadian Experience class. I'll talk about it later. You can apply under the Provincial Nominee Program. I'll talk about it later. Or the Federal Skilled Worker Program. I will talk about it later. And after 3 years of being a permanent resident, plus the time you have spent, plus half of the time you spent as a student, can go into that, half of the time you spent as a student. By the time you have 3 years after permanent residence, you can apply for citizenship. That is it. That's the 5-step process of being a student to being a Canadian citizen. Now, the second route that we're going to talk about, so this is just a snapshot of the roadmap I just talked about. So what should you do? You should have a plan. So if you're in the UK or you're in your country or you're in Poland or you're in Asia or wherever, have a plan. Yeah, if your destination at the end of the day is to be in Canada, which I know a lot of people in the UK have that plan, a plan. If you plan to be in Canada, then have a plan, have a blueprint. Your school research as soon as possible. Don't be like Ojo, who always waits till the last minute, procrastinates. Don't wait. Start your school research as soon as possible. As soon as we're done with this webinar, go get an Excel sheet and start your school research, okay? related programs. Choose programs that are either on the same level. What I mean is you probably had a master's before and did a master's, which is what I did. I had a master's in the UK. I came to Canada and applied for a master's. Nobody denied me visa just because I had a master's before, okay? And then do something that is on a higher level or professional programs. Show the visa officer the benefits that you're going to get from studying this program, even though you just finished studying another program, okay? You have to think like a psychologist to do that. So have a plan. Now, if you want to get more information about the Canada study route, like I said, we're talking about 4 routes, so I can't spend too much time on one. If you want to get more information and you want to know how to start, you can actually use the Niger to Canada JAPA system. Now, this is a simple step-by-step guide that shows you how you can become a permanent resident in Canada by using the study route. So it's going to expand all of those 5 steps that I just explained to you and show you how you can do each of them. So it's a comprehensive, detailed, step-by-step video and PDF training guide that covers those 5 steps that we talked about: how to choose a school, how to apply for the school, how to apply for visa, how to write your SOP, all of that. And these are practical steps that you can follow so you are not confused, okay? We show you how to search for schools. We provide school search tools and guidance to choose the right program for yourself. So you're wondering, oh my goodness, I have an NCE. What am I going to study? We have a search tool that can help you choose the programs. We show you how to get scholarship funding and loans, because money is very important. If you want to immigrate to even Ghana from Nigeria, you need money. I mean, we cannot run away from that. We show you how to access long-term international affordable study loans that a lot of people have actually accessed, and people have gotten scholarship and funding. And then this study visa processing, which is like the baba of the whole thing, it's so critical. We show you documents that you need to submit that will get you approved. We have guidance on how to submit the best application and guidance on how your family can join you. A lot of people want their families to join them in Canada. We show you how to do that. And we have sample templates. I know writing is a problem for a lot of us. I mean, coming up with these ideas for the SOP and the LOE. We have gathered SOPs and LOEs that have worked for other people like yourself, and you can actually model yours after that. So this is what you get in the Canada JAPA system. And you're wondering, really? How much will I need to invest to start? I know a lot of you already know this. I'm just going to jump to it. So if you sign up now, instead of the over 650,000 value that you get, if for you to start today, you only need to invest a shekeli 50,000, okay, to get the Canada JAPA system, to start your journey to Canada permanent residence using the study route. You only need to invest 50,000, which, trust me, it's a giveaway price. It's giveaway for the value you get. Now, you also get some amazing limited time special bonuses that are open to you if only you can take action today. Number 1, we have a booklet that shows you how to get job and accommodation in Canada. Imagine going to a country where you know no one. How do you find a job? How do you find accommodation? We have a booklet that shows you that. We also have a booklet that gives you the 12 things that you need to start studying in Canada. So it's sort of like a checklist that you tick off, right? And think, okay, what am I going to need? Because a lot of people are wondering, how do I start? This is going to show you how to do that. We have a database of schools and programs. In addition to the search tools, we've selected certain schools that are not so popular and shown you the programs that they have, the requirements, how much it's going to cost, yeah? We have all of that in the JAPA system. And then amazingly, we provide free basic reviews for your resumes, your emails to supervisors, your school SOPs, and your visa SOPs. Trust me, a lot of people have used our free reviews to get their visas approved. They'll come and tell me, saying, you reviewed my CV and SOP for free. Do you understand? We do that for free. We highlight the appropriate corrections that you need to make, so you're no more cracking your head. You can use our templates and then send it to us and we review for you. We also provide professional services for those who are unable to do the process themselves because they are just too busy or they just want professional service. Now, this is a paid service, so it's not free, but you don't have to use this, but if you want, we do have it. These are all the bonuses you get so far. In addition to the Canada JAPA system that is just 50K, you get all of this. And amazingly, you get access to me and my team. We provide support by email. So you're not left alone. We don't have a WhatsApp group, but we do have email support. We respond within 24 hours or even earlier. And we have dedicated support staff that know what they're doing, including myself. So if you have any issues, you can email us and then we'll help. So this is what you get with the Canada JAPA system. So if you wanted to get the Canada JAPA system, kindly ask for a purchase link from the affiliate or the person who invited you to this webinar. If you were in a group or WhatsApp group or whatever, ask them, oh, I want to get the JAPA system, send me the link so I can make my purchase. Let's move to the second route. So the route number 2 is that you can come to Canada through the express entry and the provincial nominee program. So it's called the EE and the PNP. EE and PNP. Now, entry, as far as I am concerned, is the most straightforward route to permanent residency and citizenship in Canada. Most straightforward, because you're landing in Canada as a permanent resident. There's no story there. You are landing in Canada as permanent resident, getting all the benefits of a permanent residence as soon as you land, yeah? Now, the express entry is a pathway to permanent residence for skilled workers. Now, when I say skilled workers, I don't mean handwork. I mean people who are working at skilled work, yeah? So jobs that you need skills, so skilled occupations. That is the way it's described by Canada. And the express entry uses the federal economic immigration programs. Number 1, the federal skilled worker program, the federal skilled trades program, the Canadian experience class, and also certain streams of the provincial nominee program. The Canadian experience class is for those, for skilled workers who have Canada work experience. So usually the people who will take advantage of this are those who have work permits in Canada, work in Canada, or those who are international students who have graduated and have worked in Canada, yeah? So those ones can apply to the Canadian experience class. You need Canada work experience for this. The federal skilled worker program is for those who have foreign work experience. So you haven't worked in Canada, but you have worked outside of Canada in any of the NOCs that they need, and then you have that skilled work experience. The federal skilled trades program is for skilled workers who are qualified in a skilled trade. The only thing is that you must have a valid job offer or a certificate of qualification, usually that you have attained in Canada. How the express entry works, simple. It's just a 2-step process. So today, if you say, you know what, I'm interested in express entry, I want to become a Canada permanent resident using the express entry routes. One thing you need to do, number 1, is that you need to submit an express entry profile. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay money for that. You can do it on your own. You just submit your language test. It has to be maybe English test, French test, or a combination of the two. You do an education credential assessment. If you schooled outside of Canada, you have to do an education credential assessment to show that you have studied and that your study is equivalent to something in Canada. And then you provide your work experience. You have to have at least 1 year of work experience. By the time you do that, you get what's called a comprehensive ranking score, yeah? There's a comprehensive ranking system that is used to calculate your scores, yeah? And it ranks you in the pool. It's a maximum of 1,200 points. There are 4 factors that are used to calculate the scores. These are the 4 factors. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it ranges from age, to your education, to your language scores, to the skilled work experience that you have, to if you have a spouse who is in Canada or a spouse who has the language test, skills transferability, if you have a provincial nomination, if you have a sibling in Canada, or proficiency in English and French. Now, based on all of this information that you've submitted, you get a score, yeah? Now, with that score, you are placed in a pool. It's called the express entry pool. And you are in that pool with others like yourself who have indicated an interest in becoming Canada permanent residents and who have submitted a profile. All of you are in that pool. And then 2 weeks, the Canadian government makes a draw. So they give a score and then they pull out people from the pool who have reached up to that score, the setting date, yeah? So if you're lucky and you're one of those, you will receive what is called an invitation to apply. Now, this invitation to apply, you have like 60 days or so to complete it. And this is where you now submit your documents. This is where you submit your employer reference, submit your payslip, you submit your bank statement. This is where you now do the actual application for express entry. And then you sit back and you wait for a result. That process takes about 6 months. The express entry process takes about 6 months, yeah? And immediately you qualify and you go through that hurdle, you are invited as a permanent resident, like you get your permanent residence and you can come to Canada as a permanent resident. And that's why I say it's straightforward. You didn't have to study. You don't need a job offer. Yeah, if you have a job offer, a valid job offer, it helps, but you actually don't need it for this. Okay, now how do you know if you are eligible? You answer some eligibility questions. Now, you don't have to have your English test for you to check your eligibility. You can use the eligibility tool on canada.ca website. You have to have at least 1 year of any skilled occupation in the NOC, the National Occupation Classification. You need to go there, find your skill or find your job or find your job title and know what your NOC is. Yeah, you need that. Now, it's a bit complicated to talk about it here because of time, but you need to have that at least 1 year work experience, be able to demonstrate proficiency in the English language or French. So you need at least 6 in speaking, reading, writing, and what's the other one, listening. And you must have completed post-secondary and gotten your ECA, what a lot of us call WEF. So you need to do WEF, you need to do IELTS, you need to have that skilled work experience before you can create an express entry profile. So what you do, you create it, know your score, sit back and wait. Now, luckily, the Canadian government has started something called targeted draws. Previously, they just pick anybody from the pool who reaches the max, yeah? So if you got up to that max, it doesn't matter whether you're an administrative officer or whether you are a restaurant manager, you are picked. So they don't pick according to occupation. But in this summer, the government started what is called targeted draws, which means that they are picking people from the pool based on occupation. So they just picked 500 nurses, healthcare workers, not just nurses, sorry, healthcare workers from the pool a couple of days ago for those targeted draws, okay? So they are targeting people. So if you are in any of those targeted skills, you have an advantage being in the pool. You can be picked based on your occupation. This doesn't mean that the normal express entry draws will not be happening. Those will still happen, but then this is an advantage for those who are in those occupations. Don't ask me what the occupations are. There are many. You can get them on the canada.ca website. There are a lot of them, and health workers, work workers are 2 that are very popular. They're also targeting French-speaking countries or French-speaking immigrants. So if you didn't know, Canada is a dual language country, so they speak French and English. And I think they're looking for more people who can speak French. So if you can speak French and you're in the express entry pool, you have a little bit of advantage. So if you wanted to learn French and do this French exam, go ahead and do that. It might give you certain advantages that others don't have. And recently, the Canadian government announced certain new immigration pathways. Number 1, for tech workers who can come to Canada with no job offer, digital nomads visa to work remotely from Canada for up to 6 months. And if you have an H-1B visa in the USA, you can come to Canada with your family to work. No job offer needed. So these are a bit specialized, yeah? And I didn't put the details here because of time, but if you went to the canada.ca website or you went to Google, you will actually see the details for this. So if you're a tech worker, you're a digital nomad, or you have a H-1B visa in the USA, and for some reason you want to come work in Canada, this would interest you. Okay, I will tell you about how to get more details in a bit. But I've talked for like 30 minutes or more. So I just want to know that we're still here. I need time to sip some water. So if we're still here and we're getting value, please just let me know in the chat. I'll take a second to sip water. Okay, we're still here. Good. I can see that we're still here. So we're still here. Let me know in the chat. And I'll go on. Now we're going to talk about the provincial nominee program. I'm going to tell you how to get information about the express entry in a bit. But the express entry is also related to the provincial nominee program. And I know a lot of us already know about it, so I'll just breeze through it. The provincial nominee program, popularly called the PNP, is an immigration to Canada route that allows the Canadian provinces and the territories in Canada to nominate individuals who wish to immigrate and settle in their province. So the Federal Express Entry is a federal program, which means that you can go anywhere in Canada, but the provincial nominee program is province specific, and I'll explain what that means. Now, there are 10 provinces in Canada. There are 9 on this slide because I didn't put Quebec. So there are 10 provinces in Canada, and I've arranged them alphabetically from Alberta to Saskatchewan. These are the 9 provinces, or 9 out of the 10 provinces in Canada that you can actually come to live in. Each of these provinces has its own streams or its own immigration programs. You know why? Because they want people to come and live in the province. Some of these provinces may target students, some are targeting business people or entrepreneurs, some target certain skilled workers, and some certain semi-skilled workers. And the reason is because people, when they come to Canada through the Federal Express Entry, they like to settle in just a few provinces. Nigerians especially like Ontario and Alberta. I don't know why. Maybe because there are other Nigerians there, and some other nationals like British Columbia and Quebec. So you find that lots of people go to Ontario, BC, Alberta, and Quebec, and then there's all these other provinces that need people, but people don't want to come there for certain reasons. So some of these provinces are desperate for people, and they actually need your skills. Yeah, so that's why the PNP is great for them, because they can actually invite people to their province, and they know that this person is coming to Saskatchewan, Manitoba, not going to Ontario. Now, the PNP is for you if you don't want to study in Canada, but your CRS scores are lower than the express entry. So when the combination of your age, education, and work experience is put together, you did not reach the CRS scores that they are using for the draws. In addition to that, maybe your IELTS scores are low. You have relatives in certain provinces, and you don't mind going there, and you don't mind living in those provinces. Let me tell you some good news. Now, previously, the express entry had the highest number when it comes to this stream of bringing people into Canada, but the provincial nominee program has recently overtaken the express entry as the leading way for economy class candidates to gain Canadian permanent residence. Yeah, so the government put a lot of attention on the provincial nominee programs this year. They've increased the quota for a lot of provinces. They had a lot more room to create more provincial nominee programs that target different sets of people. It's exciting, yeah, because there's more opportunities for people. The government is expecting that through the PNP, it will exceed 105,000 immigrants in the next 3 years, up onto 117,500 by 2025. Now, these figures might not look a lot to you, but they are a lot compared to how it was before. Yeah, PNPs didn't have this much, but now the PNPs have a lot more room to bring in people. So why would you not consider the Canada PNP? The PNP has been ignored and been in the back burner, but it's actually one great way to come to Canada. A PNP, like I said before, is for workers who have the skills, education, and work experience to contribute to the economy of a specific province. They want to live in that province. It is so important for you to know that you want to live in that province. If you don't want to live in Manitoba, don't go and do Manitoba PNP. You must want to live there. And you want to become permanent residents of Canada. How do you know if you're eligible? Number one is that you probably have a connection to the province. Maybe you have relatives, or you have a job, or you schooled there. PNP is amazing for those who schooled in provinces because you have more leeway to become a permanent resident. If you have work experience or the skills that are indicated in their in-demand occupation. So a lot of provinces have certain occupations that they want. Some provinces are looking for nurses. Some provinces are looking for restaurant managers. Some provinces want tech people, yeah? So if you have the skills for that province, then, you would be eligible and you will be like, somebody that they want. And like I said before, I keep saying if you want to live in the province, you make sure you want to live there before you're applying there. So the step-by-step guide or the process, simple 4-step process. Number one, you find a provincial nominee program that is right for you. I'm telling you, if you're in Canada, there are over 100 immigration pathways. Provincial nominee program has a lot of pathways for immigrants, especially if you're already in Canada. Outside of Canada, they have a lot of pathways, and there are 10 provinces, like I said, 10 provinces. There is no way in these 10 provinces you might not see something that actually suits you. So by the time you get something that is right for you, you go ahead and apply to your chosen PNP, and you obtain what is called a provincial nomination certificate. So the province gives you a provincial nomination certificate, and with that, you can submit an application for permanent residence. So the PNP is structured as a 2-step process. Step one is that you apply to the province, and you will be nominated by the province, or the province reaches out to you and nominates you. They give you a provincial nomination certificate, and with that, you apply to the federal government. The province cannot make you a permanent resident. They can only nominate you. So once you have been nominated by the province, approved by them, checked by them, and given this certificate, you're able to apply to the federal level. Now, this information I want to say here is so key. Yeah, it's key. If you're not even listening, listen now. Provinces regularly scan through the express entry pool to look for applicants with certain skills, certain knocks, and invite them to apply for permanent residence. Now, that word knock has been changed, but it's still knocker, the National Occupation Classification. So the provinces usually check through. So that's why if you're in the express entry pool, and express entry pool, and you have a profile, make sure that you're visible to all the provinces, okay? So that when they are scanning through, they can see you. Now, this is an example of someone who was in the pool, yeah, and she got a letter from Ontario, the Ontario Provincial Nominee Program, and told this person that, we are considering you for nomination under our PNP through the express entry. And they are asking, would you want to accept? And they're saying, if you accept, that means that you intend to live in our province and you intend to comply with all our program requirements. Now, it's so important. On this letter, it's written, I don't know if you're reading it, once you accept the nomination, your profile will no longer be visible to other provinces and territories. So if Ontario is reaching out to you and you're saying yes to Ontario, you cannot say yes to another person. So they will block your profile. Your profile will not be seen by other provinces anymore. So Ontario has claimed you. So if you decline the nomination, you will stay in the express entry pool, nothing happens. You will still be eligible for other programs, federal skilled worker program or other things, okay? You'll still be eligible. So that is through the express entry. Now, another way you can get PNP is you can get a nomination that is not aligned to express entry. So you don't have to be in the express entry pool. They don't have to look for you in the pool. You're applying directly to the province, yeah, to get provincial nomination. Now, if you went in the pool like this and you were picked from the pool and you accepted, you will get an extra 600 points added to whatever your CRS points are. And trust me, with 600 points added to even 50, you will be invited for permanent residence in the express entry pool. Okay, this is an example of someone who has applied to Ontario again. Ontario is very popular. The Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. This person has applied and they said, thank you for registering through the OIMP. Your file number is this. And then they say, we'll get back to you, right? So after assessing this person, they got back and said, we are pleased to inform you that a certificate of nomination has been granted under the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. And they've sent this person a certificate of nomination. They've sent them a nominee approval letter, and the OIMP wishes you success in pursuing your permanent resident status in Canada with IRCC. So they are done. Ontario is done. They've assessed you. They've given you a certificate of nomination. They've given you a nominee approval letter. Your own now is to take all of this and go and apply for permanent residence. I think this nomination has a shelf life of like 1 year. So you need to apply for permanent residence before it expires. you need to, or else you come back to Ontario and speak in English. You don't even know if it will be renewed. So that's how it works. So if you receive a nomination through a PNP that is not aligned to express entry, for example, there are so many. For example, Ontario has a number of PNPs that are not aligned to the express entry. So you would need to submit a non-express entry federal application. Usually it used to be paper, but now they're doing a lot of online applications as well. And then that's it. You apply, submit your documents, and then you wait. The only thing is that the non-express entry applications take a little bit longer than express entry. The paper applications also take a little bit longer than online applications. Yeah, but the most important thing is you are processing it. Whether it takes longer or not, you're processing it. So that's how it works for the PNPs. The document that you need, different provinces have different documents, but basically they would ask you for your language tests. It's either English, French, or a combination of the two of them, your ECA, which is your WES, proof of work experience, proof of settlement funds. You need to prove that you can provide financially for yourself and your family for a period of 6 months or so, using the required funds based on the number of family members that you have, civil documents, like maybe your marriage certificate or your ID, and status documents, yeah? So these are the documents that are usually required. Now, other documents will depend on the program that you're applying for, yeah? So it can be different if it's, for example, maybe a different program, but these are basically the documents that you need. So the express entry and the PNP are like brother and sister or cousins. They are related. A lot of times, if you're in the express entry, you can access the PNP, yeah? And a lot of times, if you have a PNP, you can use that to increase your scores in the express entry. So, so that's a lot of information, I know, and it's probably sounding like Greek to some people, though not to others. But if you want to get more information about the express entry and more information about the PNP, you want to see more information about it and how you can start, we have a program called the Entry Masterclass. The Canada Express Entry Masterclass. It's an amazing, comprehensive and detailed guide that will show you, tell you about the express entry and the PNP, and guide you on how to submit a Canada Express Entry profile and a PNP application that has a high chance of approval. Now, sadly, I've met a few people who have submitted their profiles, express entry profiles. They have been ineligible for mistakes that they've made. I've seen other people who were even invited for permanent residence, and they made errors because they didn't have certain documents and they didn't know how to get it. They didn't know the documents that they would provide in place of documents that they didn't have. They wasted time and they were refused, or they just let the time lapse. I don't know how someone would do that because they didn't know what to do. So if you want to avoid things like that, you need to get the Canada Express Entry Masterclass. Now, this masterclass contains, number one, the Canada Express Entry Masterclass that gives you a step-by-step guide on how to create your express entry profile, how to submit documents when you get an ITA, how to increase your chances of being selected from the pool, how to reach out to provinces, or how to be visible so that all the provinces are seeing you. For example, if a province is looking for administrative assistance, they can see you in the pool. So the masterclass also contains the ABC of the Canadian Provincial Nominee Program that I just talked about, basics of certain provinces that have the highest PNP levels in terms of inviting people to Canada. There are certain provinces that are very loved because they like taking people, yeah, more than others. So we're going to point out all of those provinces where you can get more information and how you can start. Most of these provinces don't take money. You can actually submit an expression of interest to the province without paying money. But somewhere like Ontario, you pay money. Ontario takes money. And then in the middle there, you also get access to the temporary skilled worker program, which I'm going to be talking about next. It's also part of the masterclass. So this masterclass is very loaded, yeah? So this is one masterclass that I think you need to get. And it's just 60,000. Imagine getting all of this for only 60,000. Yeah. So for us, we want to reach as many people as we can. This is not a high profile. It is a high profile class, but it's the intention is to reach as many people as possible. So if you were interested in this, kindly reach out to the person who invited you here. If the person is an affiliate or you got it from Facebook or you're in my group, reach out to them and they would show you or tell you how you can get access to the Express Entry Masterclass. Okay, so if you got some value, I know that was a lot of information, but if you got some value from that, please let me know in the chat that you're still here. I hope you haven't dropped off. I haven't made you sleep. If you're still here, please indicate that you're still here. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. So there's no age limit for Express Entry. There's no age limit for any Canadian program. There's no age limit. But for the Express Entry, you get scores for age. Because if someone asked that question, there's no age limit. They can't say because you're 50, you can't do Express Entry. Of course you can, but you might need help in getting your scores elevated if you are like advanced in age. Okay, so we're going to move to the third one, and the third one is that you can get a job in Canada from outside Canada, and you can use that as a route to permanent residence. I know a lot of people like this one because they just want to come to Canada to work. Yeah, people say they're here, I see you. Yeah, yeah. So this is route number 3, apply for jobs from outside of Canada. Now, Canada has what is called a temporary foreign worker program. And using this program, employers can actually bring in people from outside of Canada to work for them. Okay, it's a program of the government of Canada that allows employers in Canada to hire foreign nationals as employees on a temporary basis. Sometimes it's on a seasonal basis, and it's basically to fill job shortages in Canada. Okay. So there are all sorts of occupations or all sorts of skilled workers and semi-skilled workers or unskilled workers that can get jobs under this temporary foreign worker program, TFWP. So it ranges from farm workers, truck drivers, supervisors in restaurants, chefs, construction workers. There are a lot of workers like that that are eligible, kitchen helpers, people that work in restaurants, a lot of people. These are the kinds of jobs that are available under the temporary foreign worker program. Now I need to say this, that these jobs in Canada usually do not come with promises like free accommodation, free flights, we will do everything, you pay us when you start working. Things are not true. It's just like that ad that I had on the right-hand side, or things like that. You've probably seen an ad like that. I saw an ad like that promised 75,000 to 100,000 salary. Do you what now? Free flight, free accommodation, stuff like that. I don't know any Canadian employer that gives all those things. Yeah, so those things are most times they are scams. A lot of people get scammed because they believe these big promises. Yeah, but they get a big surprise, and sometimes it's from people that they know and trust. So you need to be very careful when it comes to getting jobs in Canada. This is where scam is king. This is where scam reigns. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So look very well before you leap. Okay, so the process for the temporary foreign worker program is just a 6-step process. I'm just going to rush through the process for you, give you an idea. Number 1 is that an employer, there's job shortage, or there's employee shortage, there's worker shortage, and an employer wants to hire foreigners to fill up job shortages in their company or in their farm or whatever. Now, this employer applies for what's called an LMIA. An LMIA is a labor market impact assessment that gives this employer the right to employ foreigners. So Canadians don't want people coming in from outside to take up their jobs, so to speak. No country wants that. You saw what was happening in South Africa when there was a genocide because they felt 7 nationalities were taking their jobs. Yeah. So an employer cannot hire illegally from outside of Canada. They must actually get that LMIA. to hire you. The LMIA is the responsibility of the employer. Last time I checked, it was about 1,000 Canadian dollars. It's the employer that gets it, not you, the employee. Yeah. So the employer gets that LMIA, makes an LMIA application, gets a positive LMIA, then advertises the job. Now, the requirements usually mandates them to advertise the job for a certain number of weeks or so to meet the conditions of the LMIA. Now you are able to now see the job advert, you apply for the job, you go through an interview process, the employer finds you employable, or the employer's recruitment agency finds you employable, the employer hires you, gives you the valid job offer and that LMIA document, and with that, you are able to apply for work permits. That is how it is. So you don't just sit down and somebody reaches out to you and say, I'm offering you a job for a job you did not even apply for. If you apply for the job, there's nobody to come and ask me, Shay, is this true? You understand? Because you didn't apply for the job. Can't get a job offer that you didn't apply for. Yeah, so you need to be careful when people are offering you jobs that you didn't apply for or that you didn't do an interview for. Most likely it's a scam, okay? Now, why do you need to consider the work permit route? Because it is a viable route that has been used by people like yourself to relocate to Canada. Remember when I talked about the Canadian experience class? If you have up to 1 year of work experience in Canada, valid work experience, you can actually apply for permanent residence through the Canadian experience class. One of the ways to get that work experience is through this temporary foreign worker program. And there are actually employers that are looking for foreign workers in Canada. You do not need to pay school tuition. Lots of people running away from study, even though I say it's one of the easiest, but some people would like to come work because they cannot afford to study. So if that is you, this is for you, okay? You only need a high school diploma, yeah? A lot of the jobs, especially the low-skill jobs, just want you to have a high school diploma. A lot of us already have that. So if it's not like a really techy job or a really high-skill job, you can apply. Your spouse and your children that are less than 18 years can relocate with you. If you're a temporary worker in Canada, your children can go to school for free up until the end of high school, yeah? And it is, like I said before, it is a route to permanent residence. Don't look down on it. It is a route to permanent residence. So where can you get more information about the temporary foreign worker program? Temporary foreign worker program is simple, it's easy, it's straightforward. There's no need to spend too much time there. If you wanted to get more information, you can get hold of our Canada Japa Work Permit Handbook. This is a simple step-by-step guide to finding jobs in Canada, how to apply to jobs in Canada, how do you see the genuine jobs in Canada, because there's so many fake jobs out there, without being scammed. So what do you get? You get a booklet that shows you how to search for real jobs in Canada, and I've put in bracket the value of these booklets. If they were even being sold on their own, you get details of genuine recruiters that recruit in these Canada jobs. Now, there are lots of employers don't do recruitment for themselves for foreign workers. They actually give it to licensed recruitment agencies that are licensed by Canada to get workers from outside Canada. You need to know who these recruitment agencies are. You need to know how to connect to them. We show you in this work permit handbook. Now, how do you craft your resume, that's your CV and your cover letter, in Canada style? Don't forget you have only about 7 seconds or so to grab the attention of the recruiter. So if they look at your CV and they're seeing certain things that are not usually on a Canada style resume, they'll throw it away. And if your CV is not passing the test of the system that they are using to browse through CVs, your CV would not even be looked at, talk less of to be called. Yeah. So we show you how to craft your resume in Canada style. We'll give you a lot of samples. And then cover letter. I know Nigerians and certain countries don't like cover letters. Canadians, they like cover letters. So we show you cover letters, how to craft those cover letters. And everything I just showed you, there's a value of 115,000. Yeah, if they were sold separately. But because you're here today, because you must have seen Shege. So I saw Shege before we came here, or maybe I see your own Shege. I'm not going to give you stressed by asking you to pay 115,000, you can get full access to the Canada-Japan Work Permit Handbook for only 25,000. Instead of 115,000, it's only 25,000. So far, you must have seen something that can work for you. Canada is so kind to give us so many routes to come to Canada. So I don't see why one of these will not work for you. Now, in addition to the work permit handbook, you also get a list of employers with positive LMIAs. Remember that I say it's only an employer with a positive LMIA that can employ someone that is a foreigner. How do you know who these employers are? It's the government that gives them these positive LMIAs, and they release the list of employers on a regular basis. And when they do, we also update. So this is also in the handbook. We send consistent updates. So when there are updates on programs like the AIPP, which is another program from the Atlantic region of Canada, like New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, all of that are under the PNP though. We update all of that, or when there's updates like the recent one, the home care worker pilots, we send updates. So we are in this market, we are in this space. As soon as there's updates, we send them to you. You also get access to me and my team as before. So if you have a problem, you don't know what to do, you just send an email. You're not lost. You don't have to chase after the affiliates that probably told you about this opportunity. You can reach out to us directly. If you want access to the work permit handbook, simply ask for a purchase link from the affiliate that invited you here today. So we have one more, just one more. I'm going to let myself take a breather. We have just one more. If you are still here, just say one more in the chat box. We have one more to go, and then we can ask our questions. I know some people are just waiting for me to finish. You just bombard me with your questions, but I'm ready for you too. So we have just one more to go. So tell me if this does not, everything that I mentioned is it's way more, but 25,000 is like change, yeah? It's very small, but you know, I'm not helping you to get the jobs. I'm not looking for jobs for you, but I'm showing you how you can look for these jobs. So route number 4, which a lot of people have been asking questions about recently. There's a lot of misunderstanding. How can I convert my visit visa to permanent residence? Convert my visit visa to work permit. How can I convert my visit visa? I want to talk about that. So you can actually apply for a tourist visa, a visit visa, or a conference visa. Now, if you're in the UK or any other country, apart from like if you are in a first-class country, it's easier for you to get a tourist visa to Canada, yeah? Because you have that travel history, yeah? And then the processing is a little bit easier than if you were in another country, maybe a third world country. So you can actually apply for a tourist visa. You can come for a conference in Canada. So many conferences, you can apply to one and you can come, or you can just come for tourism. And while you're here in Canada, there are certain things that you can do. Now, you can visit Canada as a visitor for a maximum of 6 months. So even if you got a 3-year visa, you can only stay in Canada as a visitor for a maximum of 6 months. You have to leave and come back, okay? Except you have a work permit or something else. Now, this is a policy. It's a temporary policy that came out when there was COVID, but it has been extended by another 2 years. And what does this say? It says visitors can continue to apply for work permits inside Canada with a visit visa. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to allow you to read it. Foreign nationals who are in Canada as visitors receive a valid job offer. Underline that. Who receive a valid job offer will continue to be able to apply for and receive a work permit without having to leave the country. Before, if you were a visitor, yeah, and you wanted to apply for work permit, you would have to leave Canada to do that. But now you don't have to leave Canada. If you are in Canada with a valid visitor visa and you get a valid job offer, you can be approved for a work permit. You do not have to leave Canada. Note that I did not say that your visit visa will be converted. You will still have your visit visa, but you can now apply for a work permit and get a work permit. I just seriously hope that this is clear. So you cannot convert that visit visa to permanent residence. You cannot convert that visit visa to work permit. You can't convert it to anything because it's a visit visa, so it's for visiting. But these are the things that you can do with it. So if you're here in Canada on a visit visa, you can brush up your resume, make it Canadian beautiful, and then you can start applying for jobs. You are here now, so you can walk into somebody's office, you can walk into a company and tell them you want a job, but it must be a valid job. It must be an LMIA job. It's not just a job that they will give to a normal Canada resident. It's an LMIA job, yeah? So if you get that LMIA job offer, you just need the job offer. If you get the job offer, you can apply for a work permit. If you get your work permit approved, you don't have to leave Canada for that. You can start working and start gathering Canadian work experience that can make you eligible to apply for permanent residence. I just really hope that that is clear. That is clear. Please listen very well. Don't be in a rush for the Q&A. Listen, because I'm trying to explain. If you are in Canada on a visit visa, you can actually go to a school and apply for admission. You are here. You can walk into the school. You don't need to be doing all this online thing. You can go to the international office and ask for how you can apply for admission. You can talk to them. You can prove your case. You can do all of that. You can get admission. Yeah, and you can apply online for study visa while you are here. But in order to get your study permit, you need to get it at the point of entry. Point of entry is where you're entering Canada now. So you need to get it at the point of entry. So you need to go and come back to get your study permit. But you can actually apply for visa, study visa while you're in Canada as a visitor. You can apply for work permit if you get a valid job offer, but you cannot stay in Canada beyond 6 months if you haven't been able to apply for any of these on a visitor visa. I just hope it's clear. Another thing is that you can do a short course, yeah? So if you're doing a course, a project management course, and that does not require study visa, yeah, you can do that on a visit visa. You don't need a study visa to do a short course. So that can make you more attractive to employers, yeah? So if you went and did a project management program, for example, 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, while you're here, 1 month, and then you are presenting yourself to employers, you're a little bit more attractive than someone who doesn't have any training in Canada. So that's one thing that you can do. To apply for visit visa, you need to have a valid travel document. Please go to the CAC, Canada.ca website or CIC website to get a more comprehensive list of what you need. You need to be in good health, no criminal convictions. You need to convince the visa officer that you have ties in your country. Okay? Financial assets, family, you have a job, you have a home, so that will take you back to your country. This is a visit visa. You have to prove to them that you would go back, yeah, at the end of your visit. And you need to also show that you have enough money for your stay. Don't ask me how much. The amount of money you need will depend on how long you want to stay, if you're staying in a hotel, or if you're staying with relatives or friends, okay? You do not need a letter of invitation. Stop asking me to send you a letter of invitation. You do not need a letter of invitation to come to Canada on a visit visa, yeah? So if you don't know anybody and they didn't invite you, that's fine. You can get a conference letter. You can come for tourism or whatnot, yeah? So don't stress yourself saying, I don't know anybody, I don't have a letter of invitation. You actually do not need it. You can still come to Canada without it. So far we've talked about 4 routes that you can use to come to Canada. I've talked for more than an hour. I'm so sorry. So we've talked about 4 routes. I've told you the basics of each of these routes. I've tried to rush so that I can get to all of them. I've told you what to expect. I've told you how you can start today. And I've told you why nothing should stop you from chasing your Canada dreams. Nothing, absolutely nothing should stop you from chasing your Canada dreams. The truth is, even if we had 4 hours together, I won't be able to tell you everything that you need to know about all of this. There's so much to tell. And that is why you have to actually invest in the systems that I just told you about. If you want to study, go to the Canada JAPA system. If you wanted to work in Canada, go to the work permit handbook. If you want express entry or PMP, go and get the Canada Express Entry Masterclass. If you want to visit Canada, go to the CAC website and get the requirements. I don't do visit visa. You can apply on your own, okay? Now, these routes that I've shown you today have a caveat. They may not work for everybody. In fact, they do not work for everybody. They only work for people, and I only like to work with people who are go-getters, who are ready to pursue their dreams. Who don't tire, have a strong why. They're so tired, and they are now ready to take action to chase their dreams. And that is the only way that will continue to maintain the high level of success rate that we have right now. So the question I want to ask is, are you that person? True, you might think you are that person, but you need to ask yourself, how far am I willing to go to chase my dreams? Are you that person? Have you been refused Canada visa before? Have you been refused US visa? Have you been refused Australia visa? And you're like, you don't tire. I was in that shoe. See this Canada I am. I was refused. I was refused the first time I applied. I was refused US visa. We were refused Australia visa with my family. Australia permanent twice. We spent mad money. We were refused. But if you are chasing your dreams, then your eye is on the goal. You think about how would your life be different if you achieve your Canada dream. Just keep your eye on the goal. Forget about all the money you spent already. It's money down the drain. Forget about the time wasted. It's time down the drain. The only thing you have control over is your present, not even the future or the past. What are you going to do today? What is actually stopping you from going to get one of those systems I'm talking about? If you already have it and you're here, stopping you from moving forward. Have you bought the Japa system since last year and you haven't done anything? Yeah, so you can keep chasing the next shiny objects. You can keep looking for package. You can keep buying the next course, watching dumb YouTube videos. You can keep coming to webinars. You can ask me, when is the next webinar? And you can come. You can keep wasting your time, hoping that someday, somehow, you will somehow appear in Canada. You will call Canada 7 times before you sleep and you wake up in Canada. You can keep doing all of that, or you can make a very different decision. You can bet on yourself today. Yeah. So if you don't invest in yourself, nobody else will. You have to invest in yourself. You have to help your children write a different story for themselves. They don't have to have the past or that you had or the education you had. You can actually give them a better future. I know a lot of us are doing it for our children, because me, I didn't find for Canada. Yes, but my children needed this place, and that's why I chased my dream. Yeah. And one thing I want to tell you is that you can combine these routes. Okay, let me tell you something. So when I started my journey to Canada, I started with the express entry. I was in the pool, and while I was in the pool, I started looking for jobs. So I wanted to get a job to add to my score, because my score no reach. They were not calling me. Do you understand? So I started looking for a job. In a bid to get a job, I was scammed by someone because I saw this fine adverts with so many promises. I gave that guy money. Till today, I never see a job. You understand? So I did all of that. And in addition, I was doing the study route. So I did work permit. I did express entry. I was there. I was like, one way come, I will go. I was looking for jobs, so I was doing the temporary foreign worker program, and then I now did the study visa. I was refused the first time. Cry till my eyes came out of their eyeballs. But I picked myself up and I went again. I was like a mad person. I was driven. Do you understand? And I had the support of my family, the support of my spouse and my children. Everybody really cried. We cried together. And when we were rejoicing, we rejoiced together. So you can actually combine the routes. If you had the Japan system, you can look for a job. You can be in the express entry pool. Nothing stops you. Canada supports dual intent. Yeah. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Save yourself from feeling helpless, wasting money, wasting time trying to relocate to Canada. Now, one thing I want to say is that all of these products are affiliate products. You can buy from an affiliate who invited you here. Get your link from them. We sell on Seller, on ExpertNet, on StateCut, and on Finspire. Those are the 4 places where we sell. You don't have to send money to anybody's account. You can get on these 4 platforms. So if you don't take action today, you will have the same life, the same problem. You will still be looking for Japan solution. You will have the same frustrations. and you continue to waste time until you don't have time anymore. So here's what I want you to do. Simply ask for a purchase link from the affiliate that invited you. I know a lot of them are on WhatsApp groups and they have already put the links there. If you're on my WhatsApp group, the link is already been posted where you can make a purchase. Go and do that now. You will have all my contact details inside the product and you can reach out to me directly after your purchase. So my name is Sheyi Obasi. I thank you so much for hanging out with me. I've talked for more than an hour and I will talk to you in the Q&A now. Oh, that was a marathon. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for those of you who have stayed till now. So I'm going to take the Q&A. I'm going to take the Q&A now. Okay. Question. Okay, so if you have questions, put them in the chat. So I don't provide professional help for the temporary foreign worker program. I can't look for jobs for you because I'm not a licensed recruiter, but I give you all the names of licensed recruiters in the workbook so that you can contact them. So no, I don't look for jobs for you. So so that's something that's why you need to be a go-getter. So there are so many questions and I'm just trying to look for the questions. So is there any combined package? Oh God, if I can grab a question, I'll pin it up. I'll pin it up so that everybody can see. So there's no combined package. We have done those combined packages for a while now, so we don't have a combined package. So if you want to buy something, you just buy it. So someone is asking how much does it cost for visiting package? If you listen to me, I don't do visit visa. I don't know how much it costs. But for visit visa, you just need to have enough funds to show that you can actually take care of yourself while you are in Canada. That's all you need for visit visa, and prove that you return to your country. So I'm trying to get the questions. So many questions. So if you are asking a question for which I've already answered, I'm not going to answer it though, because I've already talked about it. So this person is asking for the undergraduate study routes. For the undergraduate study routes, is there an age limit for applying? And also for intending couples, if one gets accepted, can they get married immediately? So you can actually come study with your spouse, even if you're come studying for undergraduates. But if you're old enough to get married, you're probably too old to be doing undergraduate program at this time, except you have a very strong case. So it's not impossible to come to Canada to study undergraduate at probably 35 and above, but you need to have a very strong case. And yes, you can come with your spouse. There is no age limit as long as you can prove why you are studying. So someone is asking, can somebody above 50 years study? I've already answered that question in a way when I just answered the last question. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can study. Okay, so there are many questions. I'll just pin this one up. So does it mean if British Columbia grants me permanent residence through the PNP, I can't live and work in any other provinces apart from BC? So one of the conditions for British Columbia to have granted you permanent residency is that they will ask you, are you going to live in this province? And you would have answered yes. Because if you answered no, they won't give you permanent residence. So yes, you cannot work in another province. You can work in British Columbia. And yes, there is a replay for those of us who missed it. We're going to send a replay. Well, there's going to be a replay. Can someone in Asia, excuse me. Okay, can someone in Asia country come to Canada after obtaining a visa without coming back to Nigeria? So if you got a visa while you were in Asia, of course you can come to Canada. You don't have to go back to Nigeria now. You already have a visa, according to you. So yes, you can. Questions. Okay, so this is a quite good question asked by Moses. Oseni Moses is asking, if you are nominated based on a skill, must you practice that skill, especially if the skill requires a license, because things like certain medical programs require a license. So if you have provincial nominee based on a skill, nobody's going to force you to practice in that skill, yeah? So you can come to Canada based on being a lawyer or being a medical assistant. If you come to Canada, you can do any other job. You don't have to practice that skill. Nobody's even checking. So you don't have to practice that. Okay, so let me look for questions a bit earlier. How much does the study route cost? Go and get the JAPA system, you find out how much it costs. How do you go about WES? Someone is asking, how do you go about WES? Just go to wes.org, wes.org. They will tell you how to go about it. So let me look for questions that are addressing what I've asked, all the things that we've done. So, foreign worker programs. So someone is asking, and it's a good question, how long will the process for temporary foreign worker program take when you've gotten the job? So when you get the job, you need to apply for work permits. Canada always publishes its processing time on its website. So you just go there, search for processing time, go to work permits, search for your country. It will tell you how long the process will take. So right now, I don't know how long it takes. So you need to go to there to tell you how long the process will take. Okay, Alexander is asking a question, and I'm pinning the question up. Thank you so much for the school routes. How much does one need to have? So I'm not going to answer any how much question. If you wanted to know how much, just go and look at the information sent to you by the affiliate. All these questions are answered. We answered how much, we answered how long, we answered so many questions for the study route. Hello, everyone. So someone is asking, Grace Obi is asking, can I come along with my daughter with 12 years as an international, even if my husband is coming with us? So you can come with your family, your children and your spouse can come with you as dependents when you come to study. I have HND, can I apply for masters? Let me look for that question. I have HND, can I apply for masters? So I don't know if in Nigeria with HND you can apply for masters, I don't know, but in Canada you can't. You have to apply for a graduate certificate, okay? The requirement for a master's in Canada is a 4-year bachelor's degree, and a HND is not that. Sadly. Okay, so on PIN, I'm going to look for a few more questions. If you want to get the replay, I'm going to be sending the replay. Whoever invited you here will also be sending the replay to you. So if you apply to a school, your dome face asking, if you apply to a school that is not a DLI and you get visa, can you change to school to a DLI? So if you apply to a school that's not a DLI, which I do not advise you to do, but well, if you went ahead and did that and you were in Canada, then you can apply for another school. Yeah, so you can apply for another school in Canada and you can change from a non-DLI school to a DLI. But be sure that the school that you're already giving money, the non-DLI school, they will not return your money. Okay, Shey Obasi, are you Igbo or Yoruba? Valentine, what do you want to know? My name is Shey. Oh, where does Shey come from? My name is Shey. So I am Igbo, but I am married. I am Yoruba, sorry, but I'm married to Igbo. So I'm Igbo, right? Okay, so I'm Yoruba. My husband is Igbo. Can I use my pension fund statement? Great question. A question I get all the same as proof of funds. So your pension fund is not accessible to you. As the name indicates, it is a pension fund. So it is for when you retire and you need pension. So pension fund is for pension. You cannot use it as proof of funds for study. Now, 25% of your pension in Nigeria is accessible to you after 4 months of unemployment. So you can get 25% of your pension, but you cannot use your entire pension as proof of funds to study in Canada or for anything, okay? It's not money that's accessible to you. How does the work permit program work? Philomena, Idada, when you're not here when we're talking, so you go and watch the replay for you to be able to get that. How does the work permit program work? We talked about it when we're talking about, when I was going through my presentation. Thank you so much for this. Okay, so I'm looking for questions that are appropriate. I've already said it, Mary Akota, if you have a HND, you can apply for a graduate certificate. You cannot apply for master's, at least not in Canada. So there are certain questions that you're asking that are already answered in the Canada JAPA system or answered in one of the programs. So if you want to get more information, you need to go and get those programs. You can ask for information. You don't have to pay any money to get the information. So if you ask for the link, you get a sales page. On that sales page, all this information you're asking for is there. This is a good question from Ibikunle Oreolua. Can I get a postgraduate work permit after finishing a vocational program or a vocational school? I'm not sure you can even get a vocational school as an international student. So postgraduate work permit is for academic program, and it is for schools that are PGWP eligible. Yeah, PGWP eligible. I'm going to put that question up again. It's for schools that are PGWP eligible. It has to be an academic program. Yeah. I'm just browsing the questions here. Can someone defer admission 2 times? You would have to ask the school. I don't know, it depends on the school. Some schools will not defer twice, some schools will. Okay, someone is asking, how often does a province conduct the PNP draw? So like I said, there are 9 provinces or 10 provinces in Canada. They have different provincial nominee programs. They have different times that they do their draws. Yeah, so you have to go to the website of the provinces to read about it. It's different for different provinces. Yeah, some of them hold their draws every couple of months. Some of them have a timetable for when they hold their draws. You know, some of them hold draws at certain times. So you need to go to the website to get that information. Yeah. Does it mean, oh God, Samson Rex, I like this, your question. Does it mean no sponsorship job that will sponsor my traveling expenses? Why will the job sponsor your traveling expenses? Employer, sponsor your traveling expenses. I don't know any employer that does that. The sponsorship in Canada that I know of is that they will get LMIA for you. Certain jobs will provide accommodation, especially if you have to live in the same place where the employer is. But trust me, for every other thing, you are responsible for the expenses of coming to Canada to work. How long before express entry expires? I suppose you're talking about the profile. So you can be in the express entry pool for 1 year before it expires. If it expires, you can create another profile, express entry profile. So it expires in 1 year. You can create another one. Someone says jobs seem hard to find. Listen, Brown. Yes, jobs are hard to find everywhere. Jobs are hard to find in Nigeria. I remember when I graduated, it took me a while to get a job. Jobs are hard to find anywhere. So yes, jobs may be hard to find, just like schools are hard to find, but people are finding them. Okay, it depends on what you believe. That's why I said have an open mind and believe. Jobs are hard to find, but tell yourself it will not be hard for you. Okay. So if you're asking me specific questions about specific programs, I won't be able to answer because I can see a few questions like that. Don't ask me, I have a BSc in psychology, what can I study? That's not what we're here for. Okay. Can I still get admission for January intake this month of July? You can always check the school for that. Yeah, so there are some schools you can still get admission for January. So go ahead and check in the school that you're interested in. You would know whether they have programs that are still open or not. Okay, how long do we have? Okay, so we'll take a few more questions. If you want the replay will be made available. A lot of these questions, if you came late, were answered in the replay. I am a caterer who wants to migrate to Canada. Can I use the JAPA system? So the JAPA system is for those who want to study in Canada. So if you're a caterer that wants to study, you can use the JAPA system. Can I come along with my children to study in Canada? Yes, you can. Can someone with a 2-2, so many 2-2 questions. The school took 2, you took 2. So can someone with a 2-2 apply for graduate certificate program? Yes. Someone with a 2-2 can apply for graduate certificate program. I am a bachelor's holder. This is from Toby Olabisi. Can I apply for a graduate program? Yes, you can. You can apply for a graduate certificate. There are certain schools that have a pre-master program and they might take a 2-2 for business programs. Usually for the STEM programs, it's a 2-1. But if you have a 2-2, it's easier to go for a graduate certificate or you can go for a pre-master's if it's a business program and the school has a pre-master's. So if God, I know that you have one of our programs. Yeah. So if you have asked a question that wasn't answered, there are so many questions, ask it again. Okay. Yeah, ask it again. There's no need to be griping. That time you are using to gripe, you can use it to ask a question again. I am jumping certain questions because I've already addressed them in the webinar. So you just go and watch the replay and you get answers to your questions. Yeah. Can I get a study loan for a 2-year program? Yes, you can. Samuel is asking. I know Samuel has the JAPA system. You can get a study loan for a 2-year program. I've answered this question about HND and tutu. I'm not going to answer any questions about HND and tutu again because I've already answered. So go and watch the replay. With my community health certificate, is that your question? Can I get a job in Canada? I don't know what you mean by community health certificate. That's the first thing. Number two, you can get a job if you meet the requirements of the job. So I don't know the job that you want to get. You can't just ask me, can I get a job? What job? What are the requirements of the job? Do you meet the job? With your community health certificate, can you get a job in your country? Do you understand? So if you meet the requirements of the job, you can get the job. Do you meet the requirements? I don't know. So it's simple. You just go to the job. If you have a health certificate, maybe a community, a health program is going to want you. You just have to try, yeah? Oh God, I have to go up and look at the questions. I've already answered all of these questions. Okay, I'm going to put this question up. This question is from John. John Olushola Osas is asking, can a family member, mother or father, come to Canada with an underage child? So if you have an underage child, maybe you have a 17-year-old child that is coming to university or college, or you have someone coming to high school, you as the parents cannot be a dependent to your child. It's not normal, it's abnormal. So you cannot come to Canada under your child. You can't. Do you understand? The only thing that you can do is that you can sometimes come and visit your child. You can visit your child. You can also come to Canada on a visit visa. And while you're here, you can look for a job or you can look for admission, but you cannot come and stay here because you're not dependent to that child now. Yeah, so you can't. There's no visa like that, not to my knowledge. I'll just go a bit higher and look for some. So people are asking, if you ask your question while I was giving the webinar, I'm not going to answer it because I said wait until we're done, then I'll answer questions. And I think I've answered most of the questions. So you do not need the IELTS for the temporary foreign worker program. You do not need IELTS to get a job. I'll rush through the questions. Okay, so for those who are asking about, let me just put this question. Olawale Afolabi. So if you were interested in the PNP, like I explained, you might have to go and watch the replay. There are two kinds of PNPs. Those that you have to be in the express entry pool and those that you don't have to be in the express entry pool. So you actually don't have to be in the express entry just because you want to apply for a PNP. But if you want to be considered by the provinces that are searching for people and scanning the express entry pool, then you need to be there. That's the best way I can answer it. You didn't mention the fees for express entry. So I had a lot to talk about in this webinar because I was talking about 4 routes and I didn't want to waste much time. If you want to know more about this, I've already told you, go and ask the affiliates who brought you here. They will send you the notice, the link that has all the information here, so you can check on that link and all of this information that you need is already there, okay? All this information is already there. It answers all your questions, the fees, the requirements, and all of that. It's already there. Okay, John Olushola, you're saying is study route the best. Now, study route is easy. President's express entry is very fast, but study route is easy, yeah? It might just be easier than looking for a job or trying to get provincial nominee program. When you're in Canada on a study route, all these other routes are open to you as well. I think that I've taken most of the questions. I'll only take a couple more, and then we're going to call it a day, okay? We're going to call it a day. I need the Canada JAPA book so I can check which school I can apply for HND qualification. Mary, I've already said that you can apply for a graduate certificate if you have a HND. But if you wanted the book, then fine. As a mechanic, I don't know which job you can get. I'm so sorry. So the job you can get is a mechanic now. I've answered all the questions as far as I'm concerned. If you have a 2-2 and a third class, you cannot do a master's in Canada. Generally, that's the general answer. You have to go and do a graduate certificate. If you want to know more, ask the affiliates for information. They are going to send you information pages for studying in Canada, for working in Canada, for express entry, for PNP. You don't have to buy. You can go through the information there and get all the information that you want about all of these routes, okay? That is the way to get information. And I think that I've delivered on my promise to expose to you these 4 routes. If you want more information, you can reach out to me or to anybody that has invited you here. All of the information is there. I've been talking for over almost 2 hours. I'm a bit tired, but you know, I'm so glad to have had the opportunity to tell you all of this. I'll send the replay to you. You can watch the replay. And if you wanted more information, that's where to get more information. So thank you very much. I appreciate you staying here. I'm not going to talk about caregiver route. So the caregiver route is part of the PNP. If you want more information about that, go get information from the affiliate that sent you here. Thank you so much for being here. For all the more than 1,000 people who joined, I appreciate you very much. I don't take it for granted. We'll have another webinar soon, and we'll talk about just one of the routes, and we'll have more time to answer your questions. If you want more information, reach out to the affiliate who invited you. Go to the WhatsApp group, go to whoever sent you this information. Tell them you want more information. Do you understand? They will send you that more information. And I read through, I have explanatory videos for all of these routes. Study in Canada, work in Canada, express entry, PNP. There are explanatory videos that will tell you all you need to know, and you make a decision whether this is something that you want to do or not. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a lovely rest of the evening. I appreciate you. Have a lovely time and happy Canada Day. Bye for now.